What's good, everyone? Today we are with Jim York. He is a pioneer of the wine industry here in the Palos Verdes Peninsula. I don't know if you knew this, but the Palos Verdes Peninsula has its own AVA, the American Viticultural Area, which actually Jim was responsible for obtaining here in this beautiful peninsula, which you'll be seeing in this next few moments. We have a few really good questions to ask Jim today. So first of all, Jim, thank you for having us here today, and thank you for your time. And we have a few questions for you.
Great.
Obviously.
It was a pleasure to meet with you.
Thank you so much. So my first question, of course, is how you started the process of becoming a wine grower here in this peninsula, why it's important, how you were able to get the community into also being part of this whole program.
Okay, well, that's a great question. So it's a long process, but first of all, this is my fourth career. So I was originally a CPA, then I was a real estate executive, then I was a real estate developer. Now my fourth and best career, I'm a vintner. So that means that I own a vineyard. Anyway,
Good progression there.
Good progression. So now this has really been a lot of fun. And so this land I owned with some partners back until in 1994 we acquired this. We also bought the land where Chardonnay is built. 15 years ago, I bought out my partners and woke up one morning, I have 150 acres of land. What am I going to do? So I like growing things. So I started talking to people that grew things, and I talked to people that grew lemons, avocados, and then some people that grew wine grapes. And one of my friends, neighbors, Darius Khalide, came to look at the property and said, Jim, this is one of the most fabulous locations for growing both Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. It's south-facing, so it gets equal amount of sun on the vines on either side. It gets fog. It doesn't get too hot. So you basically get cool weather grapes, which means they're thin skin. So he sent down a group of people from Napa Valley that evaluated the soil, the conditions, and then basically mapped out what should be grown. So we basically have custom grown grapevines that have a rootstock that are appropriate for the soil, and then they splice on the fruit part, so Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So it's been a long process. The vines have been in the ground now for 15 years. This is the 8th year that we've harvested and had wine made by Ken Brown.
Fantastic. Now, Ken Brown is going to be something we're going to discuss in a little bit, because he is also known for building other areas like Santa Barbara, and he's also known for his Burgundy-style wines. I want to ask you how that kind of works into your wines as well. But I want to go back a little bit into why it was important to make this into an AVA. I think that's really a key component of, so let's say all the Southern California wines are Temecula, Palos Verdes Peninsula, and I believe Santa Rita Hills.
Santa Rita Hills, also Malibu.
And Malibu, of course, in Malibu.
Yes.
So we've got this nice component of these four. How is that work, and how did you make it happen? I know it's an uphill battle.
So, first of all, because there was no AVA for the Palos Verdes Peninsula, for this area, our bottles had to say California. So somebody looks at the bottle, well, that could be anywhere. And so we have a special place here on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. So I had to go through the process, which is quite complicated and lengthy, but it ends up that the government agency, the TTB, the people actually, I don't know, they felt sorry for me, but they helped me go through the process. So what was unique about the Palos Verdes Peninsula, that this peninsula was millions of years ago one of the Channel Islands. So we see out there Catalina, well, this was an island also, the Palos Verdes Peninsula. So you see on our property, we see a lot of remnants of different shelves of the ocean shore. We see abalone shells all the time. So it's unique. So the Palos Verdes Peninsula, 56,000 acres, is totally different than the surrounding area, because the surrounding area is flat. So here we have different climates, different soils, all those things that had to be documented. But it's something that it has to be unique. So the fact that the Palos Verdes Peninsula is so unique, it made it relatively easy to get the AVA approved.
So the soil, the terroir, is a combination of sandy soil with what else is in there? What's the composition of this area that makes it very different?
Well, it has, for example, we have Altamira shale, different kind of stone. We have some sand. We have some clay. We have basalt. So it's a combination. It ends up that the soil on our property only goes down about 8 to 12 feet. So below that, it becomes rocky. So part of the reason, or one of the characteristics for the rootstock was to have rootstock that would be relatively shallow, because we got rootstock for the type of soil on the surface. If it gets down to the rocky part, you can get rootstock, but it's a different type. Yeah, well, our vines don't go that deep, but the fact is that they're deep enough now that we don't need to irrigate anymore.
Oh, that's
So for example, in 2025, we did not irrigate because of the fact that the roots can absorb enough water from the soil that were sufficient for growing the grapes. I mean, the one thing about wine grapes, they're small grapes. They're not big, juicy grapes. You want to have them be semi-stressed, so they basically have a higher juice to skin ratio, so it adds more flavor. That's why you don't make good wine out of table grapes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so funny that we bring up irrigation. You're near the coast. Obviously, you're getting all the minerality from this nice cool breeze that we all feel here in this beautiful area, plus the warm sunshine. This combination is giving an incredible signature to your taste, to the wine that you're making. So congratulations. I think you found, yeah, indeed a wonderful area here to grow your wine. So you got the AVA. And now with this AVA, you were able to create, is it 4 different kinds of wines, or tell me about the wines that
Okay, so we grow 2 types of grapes. We grow Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Okay, from the Chardonnay, we make 2 wines. So we make the classic French Burgundian-style that is aged in a little bit of new French oak and some basically neutral oak. The Ken Brown specializes in that.
Yeah.
And that's the classic Burgundian style. Then we are doing a Chardonnay Reserve that has 50% new French oak. So it's much more expensive to make, but it has a different taste profile. So some people like that better. So we've found by having 2 types of Chardonnay that grows really well. Our Chardonnay, we have very limited production, less than 100 cases of each. So we sell out every year, which is not bad because it actually creates more demand. In fact, we haven't released yet the Chardonnay Reserve for 2024. We're going to wait another couple months.
And do you also have the Pinot Noir, which has also been in high demand? I believe that's...
Well, we produce a lot more. So we produce about 500 cases a year of Pinot Noir. So we sell that.
Yeah.
One thing about the Pinot Noir, it lasts a lot longer. So, for example, right now we're selling the 2023 Pinot Noir, where we'll be selling the 2024 Chardonnays. Now, the 4th wine we make is the Rosé of Pinot Noir. So it's made with the same grapes as the Pinot Noir, but those grapes are pressed right away. So it has the pink juice, and then that is fermented. It's fermented relatively quickly. It's not aged. One thing about, again, this is a similar style to what you would have in the Provence area of France,
Right.
where it's produced relatively quickly. It's aged in stainless steel, so it doesn't really have the characteristics of the oak. And also it has a screw top because it's as good as it gets when it's bottled. So you basically can drink it right away, drink it nice and chilled, where the other wines have a cork, they age, and they get better with age.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there is a screaming eagle actually above the vineyard, which adds an incredible note to this conversation. I think it was very nice to see that. Very, very. You probably are used to hearing that and that,
That's
but
right.
amazing. Okay, so we have the wind and the airflow, which obviously do lower the effects of mildew, perhaps in the vineyard. But you mentioned there was a scale issue, which I was not aware of. In this, was it this year or the year
This year,
before?
yeah. Hopefully, it was just a temporary issue, something we've taken care of. But the other problem we have, two problems that we know how to deal with. One is that the grapevines are thin-skinned, so they like the cool days and the really cool nights with the fog. But too much fog can cause mildew and botrytis. So we have during, let's say, the season, the worst it would be in, let's say, April and May, where you have the heavy fog. It's almost like rain. We have to spray, and so we use sustainable materials that prevent the mildew. We have to be right on top of it. The other problem we have, but we know how to deal with it, are birds. So what happens is that the birds, when they see the red grapes, they start eating. So what we do, for our vineyard, we have 5.5 acres of vines. It takes 7 miles of netting to net all the vines.
You're zigzagging.
Yeah, basically do both sides of the vines, but we net the vines early to prevent the birds from eating it. And then we also net the Chardonnay because the birds will come looking for the red grapes and they'll see the Chardonnay and eat those. Now, this year we had another problem.
That's a trifecta this
So
year.
this year we had the Coyotes discovered the grapes. We haven't had that problem before.
That's,
Yeah, but it's
they eat
something.
grapes?
They were, yeah. Anyway, so the Coyotes ate the grapes. But the thing is that we have about 10 tons of grapes, so we can share a little bit.
That's good. Yeah, it's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem, so that's good. I had no idea coyotes were eating. Well, they eat everything. Yes, I didn't know they ate grapes too. The AVA, which congratulations for that. I really know that must have been a battle because it is half of a residential area here, but there is farming as well. When you started in '95, I assume it was mostly farming, wasn't it? Or was
No,
it?
so this property was farmed until 1972 by the Ishibashi family, and they were Japanese growers. Unfortunately, they were not able to own land, so they leased the land from the Vanderlip family. And
That's just astonishing. I wish I could have filmed that. You should see this. Look at that.
yeah, those are actually two red-tailed hawks.
Oh,
Aren't they beautiful?
oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
This is their domain here. This is their
And look
domain.
at, here comes another one. It's interesting. Oh, here comes two more.
They
Oh, no.
they're fabulous.
Yeah.
They're fighting the crows, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fighting the crows. They don't.
Yeah.
They're very protective. So anyway, so this was farmed until 1972. So one of the things we did when we looked at growing things here is do an evaluation of the land and the soil to make sure there's no residual bad things, like let's say pesticides or fertilizers or anything. So basically, the soil was clean, so it was basically a blank slate. We could do what we wanted. But surprisingly, being able to grow grapes, I thought it'd be something that is farming. You just plant the grapes. No, you have to get a permit because this property is zone residential, but you need to get a permit from the city to have agriculture in a residential zone. So if it's more than an acre, you need a permit. So we basically have planted between the different avocado trees, citrus trees, olives, vegetables. We have 25 acres that there's planted. So that needed another permit.
Hmm. But yeah, aside from grapes, you also do avocados, citruses, vegetables, and honey. correct?
Yeah, well, we did honey, but then we had a problem with the honey too. That basically that there were some non-native bees that there's some beekeepers that are, I guess, unscrupulous. They bring in the bees, don't maintain them, and then they become Africanized bees. So the Africanized bees came in and killed our bees. So we had last year uh, probably 250,000 bees. Now we have none. So it's really sad. So it's something that we're working with the city to try to control these people that bring in the hives that are Africanized, because
It's destroying
it's destroying the ecosystem.
the entire.
We had all these bees that were, they, for example, the avocado trees need to be pollinated. So we'll have a lot less crop now because of the fact that we don't have bees. We'll have, a few bees, but not
Yeah, not
250,000.
enough.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, sorry, what is the response to that? How do you fix that problem? Because I'm sure it affects the taste and the crop and the output of the harvest.
Well, the problem is that we've worked with the city. It doesn't require a permit to keep bees in the city.
Right.
So they don't really have a way to control people bringing in bad bees to the city.
Yeah, that is very invasive. I wonder how they're going to fix that. That's a big problem. I have a question though. So, how did that relationship work? How did you find Ken? How did you guys develop that? I mean, Ken is actually known for everything he did in Santa Barbara and developing that area. He was very crucial for that. How did that work for you here?
Well, so we met Ken about 15 years ago through a mutual friend, and I brought him down here to see what we're doing. So we saw how meticulous we are, and he basically gave us guidance on what to do. He said, don't worry about making money, do the best quality that you can do. So basically do the best farming possible, and then have the best winemaker. And so, the profit will come later when you get recognized. And so he recognized the fact that we were serious about this, and we were going to produce the best grapes possible, so then he would make the best wine possible. And he is known as the Prince of Pinot, and he basically he only produces for a couple other people. He does his own wine, of course, but we're quite fortunate that his wine, he makes our wine, and it's something that it can consistently gets, olive wine is always rated in the 90s.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of my favorite. And how do you work with the local chefs and the local wine shops? I mean, is that something that you work with them in a taste profile, or how does that work? How's that relationship?
We basically tell them this was Ken has produced, and they're thrilled to buy it. But so
True.
we have just a limited number of people we sell to. I kind of, the wine is called Catalina View because there's Catalina out there, but we only sell our wine to people that are close to where they can see Catalina. Okay, so the farthest south we have is Newport Beach. The farthest north we have is Santa Monica, and then in between. But everybody is close to the coast, and they know what Catalina is all about. So we don't try to go out of the area because we're limited in the production anyway. So we just keep it local.
But we have some great restaurants here that do pair your wines with meat and fish. So that's how I discovered your wines, and it's just incredible. Not only to have, like you say, the view, but the taste and also the pairing. It goes very, very well. The grounds are immaculate. The landscaping, the balance you've created. This this place is really beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Really beautiful, and of course you were able to get this beautiful scenery of Catalina, an island that we all cherish here in California. My question is, you've also have shown this passion for art. So your labels are not just your name or the farm or the vineyard's name, but it's a beautiful piece of art. Tell us about that.
Well, I love art, and I love some of the local artists. So we have basically two different artists that are here locally on the peninsula that have produced paintings of the property that we've used on the wine label. So, for example, behind us we have the bougainvillea and the entry to the event garden. That's a beautiful watercolor painting by Katrina Vanderlip, who is the granddaughter of Frank Vanderlip, the founder of Palos Verdes. And then she also did another beautiful watercolor of the steps down to the vineyard, and so that's on the Chardonnay. And then Rick Humphrey is another artist on the peninsula, and he did 2 oil paintings. So the oil paintings are on the Chardonnay Reserve and also on the Pinot Noir. So we basically have some beautiful art, and I thought it makes it more interesting too.
It's almost like you're buying a painting for your wall, but it's sitting on your dining room table or something. They're beautiful, beautiful pieces of art that you get to appreciate the taste and the visual of it. It is absolutely a beautiful entry too. So you also have wedding, corporate events here. Tell us a little bit about what the winery also does in terms.
So we do not have a permit for tasting, so that requires a separate.
A lot of permits, I have to say.
A lot of permits.
What's going on with all these permits?
We don't have a permit for that, but we do have a permit for weddings. We can have up to 30 weddings a year. We've had weddings for the 12 years. We did not have weddings this year because there's been some adjacent landslide damage. So we're trying to decide now, are we going to be in the filming business or the wedding business? They really need to be separate. Now that the filming has increased in Southern California, that we're starting to get a lot more production here. And so this is something that is less stressful than the weddings.
For sure. Weddings have a lot of people involved in it.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of drama sometimes.
A lot of drama. It's a very important day for some people. But filming as well. I think filming does bring a lot of equipment and a lot of people you mentioned. So
we have 25 acres, so it's plenty of space for the parking.
That's amazing.
And have this view. I mean, look at the view we have. Half-mile driveway. We have, 2,000 feet of frontage on the ocean. It's just incredible views.
Oh yeah. Driving up here felt like I was in an epic movie or something. Just you've had some celebrities here, I think, right? You've had some people come here and visit.
A few. Well, I think that we had this Capital One commercial with Jennifer Garner. She is fabulous. She was so interested in our gardens.
Because they're beautiful.
Yeah, so Jennifer, come back. You're always welcome.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to let her know. We'll have to do a tasting with her. But it is beautiful. You have a combination here of local type of.
Well, basically, they're drought-tolerant plants that don't require, of course, much water. But also, a lot of these plants can be used for cooking.
Yep.
So, for example, behind you have all that rosemary.
Yeah.
The rosemary is fabulous for cooking.
Yeah, I see, and we see plenty of bees, so I'm happy to see
Yeah,
that the
plenty
bees
of bees.
are
Not 250,000, but there's still some.
we're helping them get back. Olives, I see olive trees, obviously, grapevines, and avocados. And do you sell the avocados, or do you use them just for events, or are they?
So we last year produced 19,000 pounds of avocados, and so Chardonnay, which is across the street, they get first priority in buying our produce. So they buy a lot of avocados. Right now we have our organic heirloom tomatoes that Chardonnay is using in many other vegetables. But then we have so much production of avocados, we sell to this company, Eco Farms, which is a packing house. So they come in and pick, and then they sell the avocados to the best ones go to Whole Foods, then next to Trader Joe's, and then the ones that are a little bit defective go to Mexican restaurants
for
Yeah, yeah,
guacamole.
yeah. So they basically buy everything that's remaining. Yeah.
Interesting. And I saw lemons. Was it lemons or
We have lemons. We have tango mandarins. So we have quite a few citrus trees too.
wow? So you are truly farm to glass. I mean, you this is the entire process. I mean, there's really no in between. I mean, even the wine sales, you sell them directly to the restaurants. You don't have a distributor or a,
Correct. For example, Chardonnay is right across the street. So the chefs come here and pick the tomatoes, and then they can serve them the same day.
that's
And
that's
also, it
really
keeps down on the inventory. Got a second order from them last week for wine, and we were able to deliver it to them in an hour.
that's definitely
Yeah,
that is definitely farm to glass. That's wonderful. Um, the wine industry has suffered a little bit lately here in California. We're seeing problems in Temecula and Napa. What do you think is happening? Why is the yield lessening? What's happening to the production costs? Can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
sure. There's a
Or
number of issues. So one of the things, the costs keep going up. I mean, labor in particular is very expensive. But, water is expensive. Uh, the other thing is that there's too many people gotten into the wine business. I mean, there's people, you look at Napa, there are people that have made a lot of money and they want to go in the wine business. And so there's too much product. And then you have the younger people are, whether it's drinking less alcohol or drinking different things. And there's so many different products available
Mhm.
that I think people are doing less drinking of wine. And that's why we've kept our price low for haven't raised the price in 3 years. It's very competitive, and we sell out, which is the perfect business model for us. So we don't have a wine club, we don't have a tasting room. We're wholesale 100%,
Mhm.
but we
You
sell
sell
out.
out. Exactly. And that's a good component of this winery is the fact that, you don't have to tend to the memberships and the boxes and the storage and all that. Young people are not drinking um, because they feel that there's a barrier between themselves and wine. Why is that? Why do you think that?
To me, I mean, wine drinking is a social experience. It's something that it goes well with food, and then also it's part of it's a social experience. But I'm of a different generation, so
Same here, and,
yeah.
and I agree that wine has always been something that was just my go-to, my everyday, and it was just there's nothing else really aside from wine and water for me. But young generations are now drinking seltzers and they're drinking, you know, mocktails, etc. I'm just wondering, in your experience over the many years, you see that going up and down because of marketing influences or
Well, I just think that maybe some of the younger people are healthier. They exercise more, and they're concerned about problems with alcohol abuse. Maybe they've gotten smarter.
true. I think that, unfortunately, wine got grouped together with hard liquors and spirits that are probably not good in many ways. But wine is a living enzyme. It affects everything that it's in contact with, and I think we feel great, especially when it soaks in all of this here in this territory. So I definitely think so.
Well, I think wine's more interesting too. I mean, it's been really interesting to me, the growing and the wine production. And I kind of laughed that if I had known I'd be so interested in chemistry and biology, I would have studied harder in school. But both are so interesting. But the thing is that the different characteristics of different wines in different regions are really fabulous. And one of the things that I like doing is, going to different wine bars or restaurants where you can taste different wines. So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting experience.
The wine opens up doors to so many different conversations, and I think that's hopefully what we'll do to get younger people to start drinking wine again and exploring wonderful places wonderful conversations. It is a great door opener. The Greeks were right, the Romans as well. I'm sure we are as well, right about that combination with wine. Any final things would you like to say about the wine industry yourself or the winery?
Drink more wine.
I have describe wine in one word for us.
One word. Necessary.
I agree. That nobody's ever said that one, but Jim, I really appreciate your time here today. You're somebody who we all look up to. Thank you for bringing this wonderful piece, literally this piece of heaven, to us here in Southern California. Jim, we will hear more from down the road where we have more interviews, hopefully, and we really appreciate your time today. We'll be walking around, taking some footage, and
Okay, great.
sharing it with people.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you.